You've arrived at CozySideAudio, where dreams begin with a story. Whether you're studying, journaling, or just chilling, this one's for you. If you vibe with this kind of content, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe for more.
CozySideAudio presents The Clouds, The Journey of the Sky. Chapter 1. Born of Mist. The lake was still that morning, not silent, for lakes are never truly silent. There were the lapping sounds of frogs plopping in, the tiny hum of dragonflies skimming the surface, and the hush, hush whisper of reeds when the breeze wandered through. But still, in a way that made the world seem to hold its breath, as if it knew something new was about to happen. It began, as all beginnings do, softly, secretly, almost shy. A thin veil of mist rose from the water, curling into delicate fingers that reached for the morning sky. The first of them to awaken was Strata, for Strata was always the patient one, the kind that noticed things slowly but deeply, the sort who preferred to settle in before announcing themselves. He stretched wide over the lake, a calm blanket of gray-white, content to linger low and close to the water. "Oh," murmured Strata in a voice like a sigh. "This is nice. This is home." But then another shape pushed through the morning mist, larger, fuller, and with a booming chuckle that seemed to rumble from somewhere deep inside. This was Nimbus, broad-shouldered, strong, with edges already darkened by the water he carried. He rose a little higher than Strata, puffing himself up in pride at being so grand. "Home, no, Strata. This is just the beginning," Nimbus said. His voice had the weight of thunder, but softened at the edges, like a drumbeat heard through a wall. "We're made for moving, for traveling. Don't you feel it? The pull of the wind, the beckoning of the wide sky." Strata only hummed again, unwilling to rush anywhere just yet. Soon after came Sira, the dreamer. She shimmered up into the blue with a dancer's grace, long and thin, spun fine like the threads of silk spiders left in the corners of barns. She twirled high, catching the morning sun, and painted herself with a faint blush of gold. "Oh, look at it all," she whispered. "The light, the colors, how they bend and shimmer on the water. I'll paint every sunrise, every sunset, every edge of the world deserves a ribbon of light." She flitted about Nimbus and Strata, trailing strands of herself like a scarf in the wind, too airy to stay in one place for long. And then, last of all, came Puffin, a small, bouncy ball of white fluff who popped up out of the mist with a squeak of delight, like a cork bursting from a bottle. Puffin tumbled upward, round and eager, so light-hearted he nearly forgot to stay together as a cloud at all. "Where are we going? What's that below us? Who's that hopping in the reeds? Do you see the shiny things in the water?" Puffin asked in rapid little puffs. He wriggled and wobbled, drifting dangerously close to a patch of sunlight that threatened to evaporate him right away. "Careful, Puffin," Nimbus said, steering the little cumulus gently toward the shade of his bulk. "Too much sun, and you'll vanish before your first adventure." Puffin nestled happily in Nimbus's shadow, not minding the warning at all, for there was always too much to see and too many questions to ask. Thus, the four of them began. Strata, calm and steady; Nimbus, protective and proud; Sira, airy and dreamy; and Puffin, bright with curiosity. A family of clouds, born together from the mist of one quiet lake. And though they did not yet know the word for it, they were part of a cycle. The endless journey of clouds that rise and fall, wander and return. But for now, the only thing that mattered was that they were together, drifting for the very first time across the brightening sky. The first drift. The sun crept higher, brushing the lake with streaks of yellow. Fish flickered just beneath the surface like moving coins, and swallows swooped low, drinking in mid-flight. The mist that had not shaped itself into clouds quickly vanished, leaving only the four companions floating above the world. "This way," Puffin cried, though he had no idea which way was which. He zipped toward the reeds, then darted toward the hill, then bounced back toward Nimbus when the wind pushed him off course. "Not so fast, little one," Nimbus said, steadying him again. "You've got to listen to the wind. Feel it in your fluff." "I feel tickles," Puffin replied, giggling. "It's everywhere at once. How do you know which way to go?" "You don't," Strata answered from below, his wide gray body hugging the treetops. "You let the wind decide. We're travelers, not pushers." "Exactly," Nimbus agreed. "We follow." Syrah had drifted high above them all, stretched long and elegant like a pale ribbon across the sky. "Or," she added dreamily, "we dance with it. Listen to how it hums, feel how it sings. It's not just a path, it's music. Glide with it, and you'll never be lost." Puffin tried to listen, but all he heard was whooshing in his fluff. Still, he was content to bounce between them like the youngest sibling in a family walk. Below, the world stretched open. Meadows sparkled with dew, cows grazed lazily, and a village stirred with the clatter of buckets and the creak of doors. Children pointed up at the strange shapes of clouds as they began their morning drift. "They see us," Puffin whispered excitedly. "Do you think they know who we are?" "They'll give us names," Nimbus said, puffing up with pride. "Big clouds like me are Nimbus. It means rainbringer, stormmaker, a strong name." "And I am Cirrus," said Syrah, spinning gracefully in sunlight, though she preferred the shorter, lighter Syrah. "Thin and high, the painters of skies." "I'm Stratus," Strata added quietly, "the low blanket, the bringer of calm gray days." "And I'm Puffin," declared the small ball of fluff, wriggling proudly. "You're Cumulus," Nimbus corrected with a chuckle. "The puffy, playful ones. But Puffin suits you better." And so they kept those names, for they fit like well-worn coats. Nimbus, Syrah, Strata, and Puffin, the cloud crew. First lessons. As the morning warmed, Nimbus felt heavier. The sunlight tugged at him, drawing water up from the lake, filling his belly with droplets. He swelled bigger and darker, and the others noticed. "Careful, Nimbus," Syrah teased gently. "You're getting awfully thick. Too much and you'll burst." "I don't burst," Nimbus replied, sounding offended. "I rain." "But raining means falling," Puffin said, suddenly worried. "We just got here." Nimbus softened his tone. "Falling isn't ending, little one. The water goes down, but it rises again. You'll see." For now, he held himself steady, storing the droplets until he knew the earth below was ready for them. He liked the weight. It made him feel important, protective, like a guardian of the sky. Strata, meanwhile, practiced his stretching, flattening himself wide so that entire hills disappeared beneath his blanket. The people below sighed at his gray cover, but others smiled, happy for the cool shade. "They don't always like me," Strata admitted quietly. "Sometimes they call me gloomy." "You make the world rest," Syrah assured him. "Without you, the sun would blaze too long. Your comfort." Puffin zipped around Strata's edges, trying to copy his wide spread but failing, collapsing back into a bouncy puff. "I'll get it one day," he said cheerfully. Sira was too busy painting. She stretched herself thin across the top of the sky and bent the sunlight into dazzling streaks. Gold, rose, soft lavender, her favorite hues. The villagers below gasped at the beauty, some pointing, others shading their eyes. They think it's just the sun, Sira mused. But really, it's us too. We're the brushes, the canvas, the whole sky. And Puffin, after hearing this, tried to paint too, puffing himself in and out in hopes of shaping a funny picture. To the people below, he looked like a lopsided sheep drifting through the air, which made children laugh. Puffin was delighted. The first night. By the time the sun dipped low, they were tired. Being clouds, tiredness didn't mean drooping eyes or yawning mouths, but rather a loosening, a softness in their forms, as if they wanted to spread out and relax. They floated back above the lake, the place of their beginning. The water mirrored the sky, glowing orange and purple, rippling whenever a fish leapt. The reeds whispered again, and the frogs had begun their evening chorus. Sira painted the last streak of pink into the western sky before curling up thin and high. Strata lay low and heavy like a quilt over the land. Puffin wobbled and bounced until Nimbus nudged him gently into place. "Stay close," Nimbus rumbled. "The night air can scatter us if we're careless." "I like staying close," Puffin said sleepily, settling against Nimbus's broadside. And for the first time, the four clouds felt what it was to be not just mist and vapor, not just pieces of a cycle, but something more. A family. The stars began to appear, faint at first, then brighter. Sira stretched one last ribbon of silver to frame them. Strata hushed the world with his blanket. Nimbus kept watch, his bulk dark and reassuring. Puffin dreamed of frogs, reeds, and the shiny silver fish below. Above them, the endless sky hummed with quiet wind. And so ended their first day, their first drift, their first chapter in the long story of clouds. Tomorrow, the winds would carry them farther. Tomorrow, they would begin to learn what it meant to travel. But for now, they were simply together. Four little clouds, born of mist, floating gently above a quiet lake under a sky full of stars. Chapter 2. Drifting Companions. The morning sun rose gently, as if it too were yawning after a good night's rest. The lake below glittered, reflecting the rosy edge of dawn, and thin curls of mist still clung to the reeds before melting away. For a moment, it seemed as though the world itself was stretching awake, ready for a new day. Up above, the cloud crew stirred as well. Nimbus, ever solid and dependable, was the first to gather himself. He puffed out his bulk proudly, shaking off the looseness of sleep. The dawn's chill had filled him with fresh moisture, and he felt both heavy and important. "Rise and shine," he boomed softly, his voice rolling like distant thunder. "The winds are waiting." Puffin was already awake, though perhaps awake was the wrong word, since Puffin never seemed to sleep very deeply at all. He had been bouncing gently through the night, whispering to stars and trying to count them, a task he never managed to finish before forgetting where he left off. Now, at Nimbus's call, Puffin darted up and down, round as ever. "Where are we going? What will we see? Will there be frogs again? Or shiny water things? Or mountains?" Puffin asked all at once, his words spilling out like rain from a tipped bucket. "Slow down, little one," Strata rumbled quietly, still lying low across the treetops, not yet in any hurry to gather himself. "The sky is wide. There's time enough for everything." Sira floated high above them already, thin and delicate, her edges catching the first gold of sunlight. She swayed in the breeze like a dancer, stretching long fingers toward the horizon. "Oh, the colors," she sighed. "The sky is painting itself again, and we get to be part of the brushstrokes." Nimbus eyed her fondly but firmly. Yes, very pretty. But we've work to do today, learning to travel. No more drifting wherever the wind tosses us. We must move together." "Together?" Puffin asked, tilting his fluffy head. "But we're all different shapes, and I go much faster than Strata." "And I much higher than Nimbus," Syrah added with a playful spin. "Exactly," Nimbus said. "That's the trouble. If we are to be companions, we must learn how to drift as one. Otherwise, the wind will scatter us before we've seen anything at all." Strata sighed deeply, though he did not disagree. He liked being steady, wide, and calm, but he understood the need for staying close. After all, he had grown fond of these companions already. "Very well," he said, "but let us not rush. The day is long. The wind will teach us if we listen." A lesson in wind. They began with Nimbus's idea, to drift side by side like a family walking down a country lane. Nimbus in the middle, broad and steady, Puffin to his right, bobbing cheerfully, Strata stretched low beneath them, a quiet carpet, and Syrah sweeping high, her ribbons trailing across the upper blue. It looked fine enough from a distance, but almost at once there were problems. Puffin darted ahead, too eager. Look at that farmhouse. And those little moving dots. They must be sheep." "Stay with us," Nimbus called, pulling him back with a gentle swirl of vapor. A moment later, Syrah caught a swift current far above and spun herself into long curls of white. "Oh, this breeze is delightful. It carries me so fast, I feel I could reach the horizon before you've even blinked." "Not so far, Syrah," Nimbus warned. "You'll vanish from sight." Below, Strata lagged stubbornly. The lower winds were slow, and he preferred them that way. He drifted like a blanket across the fields, refusing to hurry. "You'll have to speed up, Strata," Nimbus insisted. "Speed is not my gift," Strata answered calmly. "I cover, I comfort. That is enough." Nimbus growled under his breath, thunder rumbling faintly in his chest. How are we supposed to stay together if one rushes ahead, one drifts off high, and one dawdles below? "Like this," Puffin shouted gleefully, somersaulting in midair and colliding gently with Nimbus's side. He bounced harmlessly away, giggling. "We just bump back to each other." Nimbus sighed, though a smile touched his voice. "Not exactly what I meant, little one. Practice makes. Sort of." All morning they tried. First, they attempted to keep pace with Syrah, who darted through fast winds aloft. But Nimbus grew huffy. Puffin wobbled, and Strata simply refused. Then they slowed for Strata's pace, but Puffin grew impatient and tried to bounce ahead again, tugging at Nimbus's patience like a tugboat on a barge. Finally, Nimbus had them all circle him. "Listen to me. The wind is many things at once. It pushes high, it tugs low, it twists around mountains and slides across valleys. But if we want to stay together, we mustn't fight it. We must feel it. Find the one current that carries us all." Syrah floated closer, tilting her wispy head. "But how do we find it?" "By listening," Nimbus said. "By quieting ourselves and feeling." So, for the first time that day, the 4 clouds grew still. They let their edges soften, let the chatter fade, and listened. The air around them hummed. There were currents rushing high above, streams gliding lower, and gentle breezes weaving in between. Slowly, slowly, each cloud shifted. Cirra lowering a little, Strata rising a little, Puffin bouncing in between, and Nimbus adjusting his bulk until, at last, they caught a current that tugged them all along at once. "There," Nimbus said softly. "Do you feel it?" "I feel?" "Tickles again," Puffin cried, but this time he laughed with delight instead of confusion. "I feel a song," Cirra whispered, stretching along the current like a dancer following a melody. "I feel peace," Strata said, moving steadily without effort for once. And Nimbus, with a deep rumble of satisfaction, said, "I feel us, together, the world below." With the current carrying them as one, the cloud crew drifted farther than they had ever been before. They passed above the village, where children pointed and argued over which cloud looked like a rabbit and which looked like a ship. Puffin tried very hard to make himself into both at once, wobbling happily. They floated over farmlands, where golden fields of grain swayed beneath them. Farmers shaded their eyes, judging whether Nimbus would reign today. "Not yet," Nimbus said firmly, "but soon, perhaps, when it's needed." They crossed woods thick with green, where deer slipped silently between shadows and owls blinked sleepily in daylight. Cirra admired how the leaves shimmered when her light touched them. By midday, they had learned to travel like true companions. They shifted and adjusted, sometimes pulling apart, sometimes drawing close again, but always letting the current guide them back together. "It's like being tied with invisible strings," Puffin said happily. "We float, we wobble, but we don't lose each other." "Exactly so," Nimbus said, proud. "The wind is the string, and we are the kite." Evening bond. As the day waned, the current carried them toward a gentle hill where the land dipped into valleys. The light softened into amber, and the world seemed to hush again, preparing for night. The crew gathered close, tired but content. "Today," Nimbus said, "we learned how to be companions. Tomorrow, we'll learn more about rain, about storms, about all the shapes the sky can take. But today, we've done well." Puffin yawned, though clouds don't yawn quite like creatures do. His edges simply fluffed out and sagged. I liked it, especially the sheep, and the funny shapes the children saw in me. Cirra stretched long, painting the sky with streaks of pink and orange. "I like the colors. I'll never grow tired of them." Strata settled low, covering the land in a soft gray quilt. "I liked the stillness, the moment when the wind carried us all as one. That is worth remembering." Nimbus rumbled with contentment. "Then remember it we shall. We are companions now, not just clouds, a crew, and the sky will carry us far." The stars began to prick through the darkening sky. Puffin tucked himself into Nimbus's side once again, safe and cozy. Cirra spread her ribbons thin across the high air, silvered by starlight. Strata sank into his quiet watch below. Nimbus kept his steady bulk between them all, protective as always. And so, as night drew its calm blanket across the world, the cloud crew rested, companions in drift, ready for the journeys yet to come. Chapter 3. Across the mountains. The cloud crew floated on, far from the rolling green plains where their journey had begun. The land below had begun to rise and ripple, as if the earth itself were stretching out in great stone waves. Soon those waves turned into mountains, jagged peaks crowned with ice, steep cliffs of granite that cut sharply against the sky, and valleys where rivers twisted like silver threads. Nimbus rumbled softly, looking down at the rocky spines that pierced the horizon. Ah, the mountains, he said, in that deep voice of his. Tall, proud, and a little dangerous if you don't respect them. Puffin darted ahead, bouncing on the cool air currents that surged upward from the slopes. "Look at me," he squealed, puffing himself into the shape of a clumsy little sheep, then a bear, then something that looked vaguely like a teapot. "The air is so bouncy here." "That's called orographic lift, Puffin," Strata murmured, her voice as soft as a blanket. She had spread herself thin and wide across part of the range, shading the valleys with her gray veil. "When the wind pushes us up the sides of the mountains, we rise higher and cooler, and then—" She let her sentence drift away like mist. "We grow heavy with rain," finished Nimbus with a knowing smile. Puffin squeaked. "Rain already? But we just sprinkled on the plains not that long ago." Syrah drifted lazily above them all, painting streaks of feathered cirrus against the brilliant blue. Her voice was light and dreamy. "Rain here is different, Puffin. It's mountain rain. It runs down into streams that feed the valleys. It becomes waterfalls that sing songs. It seeps into the rocks, waiting to bubble up again as springs. Every drop is part of a grand design." The crew floated higher. The air grew thinner, colder. Below them, a herd of mountain goats leapt across crags, nimble as shadows. An eagle soared on a thermal, circling and circling, its sharp eyes gleaming in the sun. Puffin tried to copy it, spinning himself into spiral after spiral, though he mostly tumbled and made himself dizzy. Nimbus chuckled, sending a low rumble of thunder through his belly. "Careful, Puff. These updrafts will toss you around like a leaf if you're not steady." Strata whispered, "Look." She gestured, not with hands, for clouds had none, but with the subtle tilt of her wide gray form. The others followed her gaze. In the distance, a glacier glimmered, an ancient river of ice sliding ever so slowly down the mountain's side. Its surface cracked like porcelain, blue light glowing from within. "It's older than all of us," said Syrah, her voice full of wonder. "That glacier has been here since long before we were born. It holds the memory of storms and winters from ages past." Puffin fell quiet for once, gazing with wide-eyed awe. "Will it ever melt?" "Yes," Nimbus answered gently. "Everything changes, little one. The glacier will melt one day. Its water will tumble down as rivers, just as we will one day turn to rain. Nothing stays the same forever. That's the beauty of the cycle." The crew drifted along the mountain ridge, their bellies heavy with moisture now, their bodies swelling as the air cooled them. Nimbus's edges grew dark and brooding, while strata thickened, dimming the sunlight. Even Syrah, who preferred to stay thin and high, found herself pulling wisps of water vapor into her form. "It feels funny," Puffin said nervously, his round shape sagging. "Like I'm too full of something." "You're learning what it is to be a rain cloud," Strata soothed. Nimbus gave a low chuckle. "Don't worry, Puff. When it's time, you'll know. You'll let go, and the earth below will drink gladly." And soon the time came. They reached a high alpine meadow, a hidden bowl of green tucked between ridges. Marmots whistled in alarm as the shadows of the cloud crew spread across the grass. Wildflowers lifted their bright faces, reds and yellows and purples, like tiny flags waving in welcome. Nimbus let out a long sigh, and the sigh became rain. Heavy drops spilled from his belly, drumming against stone and soil. Strata joined him, her veil unraveling into a steady shower. Puffin squeaked as the water he'd been holding finally spilled free, tumbling joyfully to the meadow below. "Oh," he cried, It tickles. Sira, light as ever, only shimmered and let the edges of her wisps crystallize into ice. She released delicate snowflakes, which danced down like feathers, landing softly among the raindrops. The meadow drank deeply. Tiny rivulets formed, threading together into a clear brook. Flowers nodded under the weight of raindrops. The marmots ducked into their burrows, but the goats lifted their faces to the rain, unbothered. When the rain slowed, the crew floated lighter, refreshed, almost new again. Puffin, now much smaller, wobbled happily. I did it. I rained. I really rained. Nimbus gave him a proud rumble. Yes, little one. You gave water to the earth. You helped life grow. That's what we're here for. Sira sighed dreamily, watching a rainbow arch across the valley as the storm lightened. And look, the earth answers us with color. Indeed, the rainbow shimmered with every hue, red to violet, stretching like a bridge between sky and land. Puffin gasped, spinning around it, almost too giddy to contain himself. See? Strata whispered, her tone serene as ever. Every drop has a purpose. Every storm leaves beauty behind. The cloud crew drifted on, leaving the mountains washed and shining behind them. Their journey was far from over, but already they had learned. Even storms could be gentle. Even rain could be a gift. And every part of the cycle was filled with wonder. And far below, the rivers they had fed began their long journey down the slopes, toward forests, toward villages, toward seas they had yet to see. The clouds smiled, each in their own way, and continued their voyage across the wide and waiting world. Chapter 4. The Desert Crossing. The world below changed again. The sharp mountains fell away, sloping down into a land so vast and bare that Puffin blinked in surprise. Gone were the green meadows and tumbling rivers. Instead, endless waves of sand stretched in every direction, gold and copper under the burning sun. Dunes curved like sleeping giants, and rocky plateaus jutted upward like ancient, broken teeth. It looks so empty, Puffin whispered. Where are the trees? Where's the grass? Strata drifted lower, her wide gray blanket trying to offer shade, but even she felt thin and weary. Deserts hold life too, little one. You just have to look closer. Nimbus gave a low rumble. His round shoulders looked heavier than usual, as if weighed down by the glare of the sun. But it's a hard place. The air is dry. The heat rises in shimmering waves. Few clouds pass here. Sira, who had floated higher to catch the thin, cool winds, twirled with her feathered cirrus arms spread wide. Ah, but what a sky. Look how endless, how blue. It's like painting on the biggest canvas you can imagine. Below them, the desert shimmered with mirages. Lakes that weren't really there glistened on the horizon, vanishing when the wind shifted. Puffin squinted. I see water, he cried. Let's go down and rain for them. Nimbus shook his great dark head. That's no lake, Puffin. That's light bending in the heat. The desert tricks your eyes. Puffin sagged a little. So, there's no water at all? Oh, there is, Strata said softly. Hidden, stored deep underground, waiting in aquifers, kept safe for the creatures who know where to find it. The crew floated on, watching the hidden life of the desert reveal itself. A fox darted between rocks, its ears large and keen. A snake slid silently across the sand, leaving a silver trail behind. A cactus raised its spiny arms, crowned with a single pink blossom. Puffin gasped at it all. It's like the desert has secrets. Sira painted a faint halo around the sun, ice crystals shimmering high where she lingered. Every place has secrets, Puff. Even the driest places breathe with life. But as the day stretched on, the heat pressed harder. The rising thermals tossed Puffin around like a toy. He tumbled and puffed himself back up again, panting. "It's too hot. I feel like I'm going to vanish." Nimbus's face grew serious. "You might. We all might. This heat, it pulls at us. It takes our droplets and scatters them back into the air." "Evaporation," Strata murmured. Her voice was slow, heavy, as if even she was tired. "The desert sun drinks us away." And slowly, they did grow smaller. Nimbus shrank, his once broad shoulders thinning. Strata's gray sheet tore into patches. Even Sierra, high above, found herself unraveling into wisps. Puffin squeaked in alarm. "I don't want to disappear." Nimbus steadied him with a firm, rolling thunder that was more comfort than storm. "It's all right, Puff. To vanish is only to change. If the desert takes us, the winds will carry us elsewhere. Nothing is truly lost." Still, Puffin trembled. He huddled close to Strata, who covered him like a shawl. "But what if I forget myself?" "You won't," Strata promised gently. "Even when we thin, even when we scatter, we remain part of the sky." For a long time, they drifted silently, each feeling the sun tug at their edges. The desert stretched endlessly, golden and merciless. Yet, when Puffin thought he couldn't bear it anymore, something marvelous happened. A wind rose. It began as a whisper, then grew into a rushing voice that scooped sand into the air. A wall of dust swept across the land, swirling like a living thing. The sky turned hazy, brown and red, with lifted grains. "A haboob," Nimbus declared, his voice rumbling with awe. "A desert storm of dust." The cloud crew drifted above it, watching the sand dance in twisting columns. Puffin coughed dramatically, though he didn't really have a throat. "It's so gritty down there." Sierra laughed softly. "The desert paints its storms differently than we do. No rain, no snow, just dust and wind." When the haboob passed, the world below was changed. The dunes had shifted. The rocks wore new coats of sand. Creatures had hidden away, waiting for calm to return. By dusk, the crew had thinned to shadows of themselves, their bodies stretched and worn. But then, on the horizon, the faintest green appeared, a line of palms swaying around a pool of water that shimmered in the fading light. "An oasis," Strata whispered. They gathered their last drops, their last wisps of strength, and together they gave the desert what little rain they could. It wasn't much, only a sprinkle, a soft patter in the sand. But the date palms lifted their fronds gratefully. Tiny frogs hidden in the mud croaked awake. Flowers pushed shyly from the soil, blooming with sudden color. Puffin beamed. "Even a little rain makes a difference." Nimbus, small now but still proud, gave a satisfied rumble. "Exactly, little one. Even the smallest clouds have power, especially here, where water is rare." As night fell, the desert cooled. Stars spilled across the sky, brighter than Puffin had ever seen them, glittering as if someone had scattered diamonds over a dark velvet cloth. The air grew gentle, and the crew, though thin and fragile, found themselves soothed by the coolness of evening. "Look," Sierra whispered, her wisps glowing silver in the moonlight. "The desert may take much from us, but it gives us the clearest view of the stars." The crew floated together in the quiet dark, hearts full again, even if their bodies were light and small. The desert had tested them. It had thinned them scattered them, almost undone them. But it had also shown them the power of even the smallest rain, and the beauty hidden in harshness. Tomorrow, the winds would carry them onward. But tonight, under a billion watching stars, the cloud crew were rested. Chapter 5. Over the ocean. The desert gave way, little by little, to something new. First came salt flats that shimmered like mirrors, then dry riverbeds that cut across the sand like scars. And finally, at last, the crew saw it. A horizon that seemed to go on forever, glittering under the rising sun. "The sea," Puffin squealed. He darted forward, puffing himself rounder than usual in his excitement. "It's so big. Bigger than the mountains, bigger than the desert." Sira drifted gracefully above him, her cirrus strands catching the morning light like silver threads. "Endless," she sighed. "The ocean is the Earth's mirror, and today it's showing us the sky's own colors." Nimbus hovered, his broad dark frame thoughtful. "The ocean feeds us. It breathes us. Without it, we would wither." Strata stretched low and wide, spreading her veil as if to touch the surface of the waves. "So much water," she murmured. "So much waiting to rise." Below, the waves rolled in long rhythmic lines, glittering blue and green. Schools of fish flashed beneath the surface. Dolphins leapt, their sleek bodies glistening as they broke the waves. Puffin gasped each time, trying to mimic them by bouncing up and down. "Look at them jump, look at them play." Nimbus chuckled, though his rumble carried a note of seriousness. "The sea is playful, yes, but also fierce. Never forget that." As the day warmed, the air above the waves shimmered. Moisture began to rise, invisible but powerful, gathering quietly into the crew. Puffin felt it first. "I'm filling up again," he giggled, his round belly swelling. "It feels tingly." "That's evaporation," Strata explained, her voice steady and calm. "The ocean gives its water to the sky, to us, and we carry it across the world until it returns again as rain." "It's like a gift," Sira whispered dreamily. Nimbus rumbled, "A gift and a responsibility." The crew swelled, each of them drawing strength from the ocean's endless offering. Nimbus grew tall and towering, shadows gathering under his belly. Strata thickened into a soft gray blanket. Even Sira, usually so thin, found herself pulling more vapor into her delicate arms. Puffin grew so round, he looked like a child's balloon, wobbling in the sea breeze. "Careful, Puffin," Nimbus warned gently. "You're not just a puff anymore. You're becoming something bigger." Sure enough, by afternoon the crew was no longer just a small family drifting lazily. They were part of a gathering. Dozens, then hundreds of clouds rising from the ocean, swelling together. "It's like a party," Puffin shouted. "So many new friends." But Nimbus shook his head. His dark face looked heavier now, streaked with gray. Not a party, a gathering storm. And he was right. The sea had been warming all morning, sending more and more vapor skyward. The trade winds swept in, circling the clouds, pushing them together into towering columns that rose higher and higher. Strata whispered, her voice tinged with awe. "A tropical storm is being born." The sky thickened. Shadows stretched across the waves. The crew found themselves at the heart of something vast. Clouds they had never met pressed close. Massive cumulonimbus towers that rose like castles, their tops anvil-shaped against the sky. Lightning flickered within their bellies. Thunder rolled across the horizon. Puffin quivered. "It's so big. Too big." Nimbus straightened, proud and grave. This is what I become when the world needs me most. A storm, strong enough to stir the ocean and change the land. Cirrha's wisps danced along the storm's crown, painting streaks of light as the sun fought to break through. Even storms can be beautiful, she murmured. The wind howled, circling faster and faster. Below, the sea churned, whitecaps crashing as waves grew tall. Birds wheeled frantically above the water, fleeing for distant shores. Nimbus bellowed, his thunder shaking the sky. Do not fear, little ones. Remember, storms bring balance. The ocean gives us power, and we return it as rain. We must be fierce, so that the cycle continues. Together, they released their weight. Rain poured in torrents, hammering the ocean's surface. Lightning danced like silver spears. Puffin let out a squeaky cry as his own tiny drop spilled down. But then he laughed, realizing how far they spread, how quickly they joined the endless rain. It's like we're painting the sea, he shouted, spinning as his droplets splashed below. The storm raged for hours, until the ocean was freshened and the air cooled. Slowly, the great winds eased. The towering storm clouds drifted apart, smaller now, their bellies emptied. The crew, though lighter, felt stronger in spirit. Strata sighed, soft as mist. The storm was fierce, but the ocean needed it. Nimbus nodded. And so did we. We are never more alive than when we give ourselves fully. Cirrha, glowing in the sunset light, traced delicate streaks across the sky. And look, the storm has left the ocean shining. Indeed, the waves sparkled gold and crimson under the setting sun, calm again after their wild dance. Dolphins returned, leaping joyfully. A rainbow shimmered faintly on the horizon, curving from sea to sky. Puffin giggled. We're not just clouds. We're ocean carriers, rain bringers, storm dancers. Nimbus chuckled, his voice softer now. Yes, little one, we are all those things, and more. The crew drifted onward as night fell, stars reflecting on the vast waters below. They had crossed mountains and deserts, and now they had learned the might of the ocean. Ahead, new lands waited, and with them, new lessons. But for now, they rested in the great quiet of the sea, their bellies light, their hearts full. Chapter 6. Into the Forest. Morning broke with a gentle hush. The storm of the ocean had passed, leaving the air fresh and soft. As the sun climbed, the winds carried the crew toward land again. From far above, the shape of the coastline appeared. Rolling hills, vast stretches of green, rivers winding like silver ribbons through a quilt of trees. Look, Puffin cried, bouncing ahead as usual. It's like a giant garden. Cirrha drifted higher, her cirrus arms trailing like silk threads. A garden, yes, painted in every shade of green the earth can dream. Below them spread a vast forest, deep and old. The canopy rippled like an emerald ocean, shifting and swaying in the breeze. Great trees stretched skyward, oaks and pines, maples and beeches, their crowns lifted as though reaching for the clouds themselves. Between them, rivers glittered, feeding mossy valleys. Nimbus rumbled softly, his voice full of quiet respect. The forest, a place where water is life itself. Here, even the smallest drop matters. Strata settled low, spreading wide across the treetops until everything below grew dim and cool. The trees call for us, she murmured. Can you feel it? And they could. Tiny wisps of vapor rose from the forest, like invisible sighs, drawn from countless leaves and streams. The crew felt themselves swell again, each drop a gift lifted gently into their bellies. "What's happening?" Puffin asked, puzzled but curious. "Why do I feel filled without raining?" "That's transpiration," Strata explained in her calm, teacherly way. "The trees release water into the air, and we gather it. We are not just above the forest, we are part of it." Puffin gasped. "The trees are breathing into us?" "Yes," Nimbus said gravely. "And in return, we breathe back into them." They drifted deeper above the canopy, where sunlight dappled the leaves. Birds flashed beneath the branches, bright parrots and songbirds, woodpeckers and owls. Monkeys swung from vines, chattering and leaping. Puffin squealed with delight. "It's so busy, so noisy." "Alive," Sierra whispered, her wisps glowing golden in the shafts of light. "The forest is never silent. It hums with the rhythm of life." By midday, the crew had grown heavy again. Their bellies sagged with moisture, and Nimbus's dark shoulders brooded low over the trees. "It's time," he said. Strata released her veil first, sending down a soft drizzle that pitter-pattered on the leaves. Puffin squeaked as droplets fell from his round shape. Oh, it's like tickling the treetops." The forest answered immediately. Leaves glistened. Ferns unfurled wider. The rivers swelled, rushing faster between the roots. A chorus of frogs erupted, singing with joy. Nimbus released his rain in deep, rolling showers, soaking the soil until it steamed. Thunder rumbled through his chest, not fierce this time, but warm and steady, like a lullaby. Sierra painted streaks of light between the rain clouds, shafts of sun breaking through to sparkle on the drops. She sent delicate cirrus tendrils weaving rainbows across the forest mist. And the forest drank. Hours passed until the downpour gentled into a mist. Puffin hovered close to the trees, watching how the fog curled around trunks and drifted across mossy ground. "What's this called?" he asked eagerly. "Mist," Strata whispered. "Fog. A soft blanket for the morning, a kiss for the earth." "It's cozy," Puffin said, smiling. "Like when you tuck me in." Strata chuckled quietly, spreading her veil even thinner. The crew floated together above the glistening forest. When the rain ended, a hush settled over the land. Sunlight streamed back in golden beams, and steam rose in curling shapes. "Look," Sierra said softly, pointing, though clouds had no hands, toward a clearing. There, a stag stepped carefully into the open, his antlers dripping with raindrops like silver crowns. He lowered his head to drink from a pool that shimmered with fresh rainwater. Puffin's round shape practically wobbled with pride. "We did that. We made that pool." Nimbus chuckled, the sound deep and content. "Yes, Puff. And soon that water will become a stream. It will flow to the rivers, and one day it will return to the sea." "Everything is connected," Strata added gently. Sierra painted one last rainbow as the evening came, its colors arching across the treetops. "Every place has its own song," she said dreamily. "The desert sings of survival. The ocean sings of storms. And the forest." She trailed off, listening. The others listened too. Below, the leaves rustled, the frogs croaked, the birds chirped. 1,000 voices blending into one great harmony. "The forest sings of life," Sierra finished, her voice soft as starlight. As night fell, fireflies began to flicker below, tiny lanterns glowing among the shadows. The crew drifted slowly onward, their bellies lighter but their hearts full. They had given, and the forest had answered. And above the vast green world, the cloud crew rested, cradled by the hush of trees and the quiet song of rivers flowing on. Chapter 7. Storm Songs and Silver Linings. The cloud crew had grown used to the rhythm of their journey by now. The drifting mornings, the playful afternoons, and the glowing, sleepy sunsets. But on this day, the air felt different. The sky above them was heavier, darker, and buzzing with a quiet electricity. Nimbus could feel it first. He always did. His wide gray belly quivered with the buildup of moisture, and he let out a deep rumble like someone clearing their throat. "Oh no," Puffin squeaked, bouncing nervously between his friends. "Nimbus, are you, stormy again?" Nimbus tried to smile, but his edges sagged with the weight he carried. "I can't help it, Puff. The air is so thick today, and the heat rising from below is feeding me more than I can hold." Sierra swooped gracefully around him, her thin wisps shimmering with strands of sunlight. "Don't be afraid of the storm inside you, Nimbus. Storms can sing too, you know." "Sing?" Puffin blinked, confused. "Yes," Sierra said, her voice airy and light, as though it were stitched from threads of music itself. "Thunder is a drum, rain is a chorus, and lightning. Oh, lightning is the flash of inspiration in the sky." Strata, who had been quietly trailing behind, added softly, "And after every storm, the world feels cleaner, calmer. Sometimes a little noise is what the earth needs." Nimbus sighed, his body swelling darker and darker until his fluffy gray edges began to blur. "I don't want to frighten anyone down below." But as they drifted over a wide meadow where children were playing in tall grass, the first droplets fell. Soft at first, like the tap of tiny fingers. The children below squealed, some darting for cover, others twirling with arms wide open. Their laughter rose like an echo, weaving with the pattering rain. Puffin gasped. "They're not scared, they're dancing." Nimbus's chest loosened. The thunder that rumbled from him no longer felt angry. It was steady, deep, and proud. Lightning stretched its fingers across the sky, not to harm, but to dazzle. And the children below clapped as though it were part of a grand show. "See," Sierra said gently, "you're not just a storm. You're a song, and the world needs your music." The rain poured harder now, soaking the grass, feeding the roots, and quenching the soil's thirst. Flowers bowed under the weight of droplets, only to spring back taller and brighter once the water slid away. Strata hummed softly, her tone like a low lullaby. Silver linings follow storms always, and sometimes we need storms to remind us how beautiful the calm can be. As Nimbus emptied his heavy heart, his body slowly lightened again. The storm clouds began to thin, and the rain faded into mist. Sunlight stretched across the sky, and sure enough, a rainbow unfurled, a long ribbon of color connecting heaven to earth. "Look," Puffin squealed, bouncing so fast he nearly unraveled himself. "You made that, Nimbus. You made magic." Nimbus gazed at the rainbow with wide, softened eyes. For the first time, he didn't feel ashamed of the storm inside him. Instead, he felt proud that he could bring both music and wonder to the world. "Maybe storms aren't something to hide," he said quietly. "Maybe they're just another way of showing I care." Sierra brushed against him like a sister's hug, glowing with the fading sunlight. "Exactly. Every cloud has its way of loving the earth. Yours just happens to rumble a little louder." The cloud crew drifted together, their edges glowing warm as the rainbow faded into twilight. Below them, the meadow glistened, fresh and green, the children still laughing as they splashed in puddles. and above, the sky felt lighter, like a song that had finally been sung. Chapter 8. Across the mountains. The Cloud crew had never seen land like this before. Their journey had taken them over meadows, cities, and rolling plains, but now the earth below rose up in jagged waves of stone and ice. The mountains stretched to the horizon, their peaks tipped in white like frosting, their valleys shaded in deep pine green. Rivers tumbled from cliffs like silver ribbons, vanishing into mist before they reached the ground. The air was thin and sharp, each breath prickling against their cloud skins. "Whoa," Puffin gasped, his little body puffing up twice its size from sheer excitement. "They're huge, enormous, gigantic. I feel like a crumb floating above a feast." Nimbus, looming behind him, chuckled, though even he was impressed. "They make even me feel small," he admitted. His heavy voice carried a softness, almost reverent, as though the peaks were old giants sleeping beneath them. Sira, stretched thin and delicate against the blue, trailed her wispy arms over the peaks, as if to stroke their icy crowns. "The mountains are the earth's poetry," she whispered. "Look how they carve their stanzas into the sky." Strata hovered quietly, her wide, flat body spilling across the horizon, veiling some of the mountains in a soft haze. "And look how the wind here never rests. It pushes, pulls, bends, and tumbles like a restless child." Indeed, the wind seemed different here. It wasn't the lazy drift of meadows or the salty gusts of seasides. This wind was impatient, rushing through the mountain passes like an eager messenger. It tugged at the clouds, urging them upward, carrying them toward the highest ridges. Puffin zipped forward, spinning in delight as the wind lifted him higher. "It's like flying on invisible slides," he laughed, tumbling into a spiral that left him dizzy. "Careful, Puff," Nimbus warned, though he couldn't quite hide his smile. "The mountain winds can throw even big clouds like me off balance." But Puffin only giggled. "That's the fun of it." As they drifted higher, the air grew colder. Ice crystals sparkled in their edges, tiny diamonds that glittered in the sunlight. Sira shimmered most of all, her slender strands catching the light and scattering it like fairy dust. "Oh, I feel so elegant up here," she sighed dreamily. "The ice makes me glow. It's like wearing a gown stitched from stars." Strata, meanwhile, spread herself lower, blanketing a mountain valley in gray calm. "Down below, hikers and animals are huddling under me," she murmured. "I like giving them shade and rest. Not every adventure needs the sun to shine." Nimbus's belly rumbled softly, a reminder of the moisture building in his body. "The mountains are feeding me," he said uneasily. "The air rises here, warm at the bottom, cold at the top. It makes me swell." Sira drifted close, brushing against him like a ribbon of reassurance. "That's because the mountains are teachers, Nimbus. They're showing you how air climbs, how storms are born." "I don't want to scare anyone," Nimbus muttered. He always thought first of the ground below, of the people and creatures who lived with the sky above them. "Sometimes storms are necessary," Strata said gently. "Snow falls, rivers flow, plants grow. Life depends on storms too." That afternoon, as the crew floated between peaks, they noticed a group of goats climbing a near vertical cliff. Their white coats blended with the snow, their hooves finding impossible holds on the stone. Puffin squealed, bouncing in place. "Look at them! They're playing a climbing game." "They're mountain goats," Strata explained softly. "They've lived here longer than any of us have drifted. Their hooves are like hooks. They can dance where no one else dares to tread. Nimbus shook his head in amazement. Tiny things against a giant mountain, and yet they climb higher than even the humans who build their ropes and ladders. They're brave, Sirah said wistfully, like whispers climbing into the sky. Puffin leaned so far down to watch that he nearly unraveled. Do you think they know we're up here, cheering for them? Maybe, Strata replied. But I think they already know they're never truly alone. The mountain itself is their companion. By evening, the wind grew stronger, pushing moisture against Nimbus until he grew thick and dark. His edges bristled with electricity, and the crew knew what was coming. A storm, he groaned. I can't hold it much longer. Then let it go, Sirah said gently. But let's make it beautiful. They gathered together, guiding Nimbus as he released his storm. Thunder rolled through the valleys, echoing off cliffs, until it sounded like the mountains themselves were singing. Rain fell in shimmering curtains, soaking the stone and feeding hidden springs. Puffin gasped as lightning danced across the peaks, painting the sky in jagged silver. It's like the mountains are glowing. Down below, waterfalls swelled, crashing with newfound strength. Tiny alpine flowers bent under the rain, then sprang upright, their colors brighter than before. And in distant huts, hikers huddled by fires, listening to the storm as though it were a lullaby, sung by the mountains and the sky together. Strata spread herself wide, muffling the storm's harshness, turning its roar into a hushed harmony. Sirah wove the last light of sunset through the rain, turning each drop into a jewel. And Nimbus, though heavy, felt proud. His storm wasn't frightening. It was necessary, beautiful, alive. When the storm passed, the clouds thinned, and a silence settled over the peaks. The air was so clear that the stars shone brighter than the crew had ever seen, glittering like spilled diamonds across a midnight cloak. Puffin stared in awe. It's like the mountains are close enough to touch the stars. They almost do, Sirah whispered, her body glowing faintly in the starlight. The mountains are staircases for the earth, reaching toward the heavens. Strata sighed, her calm presence wrapping around them all. And we, dear friends, are the bridge between them. We carry water from the sea to the peaks, from the peaks to the rivers, from the rivers to the plains. Nimbus rumbled softly, but this time it wasn't thunder. It was contentment. I think I understand now. Storms here aren't something to fear. They're part of the mountain's breath, just as much as the snow, the ice, and the stars. The crew floated in quiet wonder, drifting slowly across the mountain range, their reflections shimmering in alpine lakes far below. The world felt ancient here, vast and eternal. And yet the clouds, soft, fleeting, ever-changing, felt at home. For even in the presence of stone giants, they too were part of the sky's story. Chapter 9. The Desert Horizon. After the towering mountains, the world below flattened into wide, sun-bleached plains that shimmered under the afternoon light. Puffin flitted ahead, bouncing nervously as he surveyed the endless dunes. It's so empty. There's hardly any water. What are we going to do here? Nimbus, hovering above with his familiar brooding calm, rumbled low. The desert is not empty, little one. It only looks that way. Water is scarce, yes, but life finds a way, and so must we. Sirah twirled high above, her feathery wisps catching the sun like spun gold. And the sky here stretches endlessly. It feels free, limitless. The desert teaches patience. Even the smallest cloud can make a difference. Strata, trailing low over the sand, hummed softly. Her edges spread thin, almost invisible in the shimmering heat. And shade is more precious than rain in a place like this. The sun is relentless, but even a whisper of mist can give comfort. Puffin pouted, puffed, and then bounced higher. I want to make a rainstorm, but there's not enough water. I'll just disappear if I try too hard. Nimbus sighed. Not all of us can pour down rain at once, Puffin. The desert isn't greedy. It teaches us balance. Even a drizzle matters more here than a torrent in a forest. Sierra floated down, brushing lightly against Puffin's round form. And sometimes, little one, even our presence, our shadows, our coolness, is enough to help. The desert stretched endlessly, waves of sand rippling like molten gold under the sun. Mirage lakes appeared on the horizon, teasing the crew with reflections of palms and clouds that weren't really there. Puffin's eyes widened. I see water, real water this time. Strata chuckled softly. That's just light bending in the heat. The desert tricks you, Puffin. But it looks so real, he cried. Can't we at least touch it? Nimbus's dark belly rippled. No, little one. But just like the mirage, the desert shows us the value of what is hidden. Water flows beneath the surface, waiting for those who know patience and persistence. Puffin fidgeted, puffing nervously as the sun beat down. Patience. I don't know if I can wait. Sierra floated close, her voice like a ribbon of melody. Patience isn't just waiting. It's understanding the rhythm of life. The desert moves slowly, and so must we. A wind rose suddenly, hot and dry, lifting sand into spiraling columns. Puffin squeaked as he tumbled through a small dust whirl. Whoa, it's like the desert is alive. Nimbus chuckled, rolling his thunder gently. The desert is full of life, Puffin. Look closely. They drifted down low, following the wind. Among the dunes, small creatures scuttled and burrowed. Lizards darting between rocks, beetles pushing through sand, foxes curling into hidden burrows. Tiny flowers peeked from the earth, petals closed tightly against the heat, waiting for the next rare rain. Even here, Puffin whispered, even in the desert, life finds a way. Strata nodded. And we can help, even in the smallest way. Nimbus rumbled thoughtfully. A light drizzle can make the seeds swell. A brief shadow can shelter a creature. Even a cloud too small to storm can bring comfort. Sierra's thin wisps shimmered. And beauty, too. See how the sunlight dances across the sand? The desert paints pictures for those who look. Puffin tried to mimic her, swirling and twisting his small round body into spirals. I'm a desert cloud artist. By midday, the crew had grown heavier again, but cautiously. Nimbus released a gentle, sparse rain, enough to wet patches of sand, glisten on scattered rocks, and moisten the tiny seeds lying dormant beneath the surface. Puffin followed, letting his droplets spill, small but eager. See? Strata said softly. Even the smallest rain changes the desert. Just enough, Sierra added. Enough to awaken life, not overwhelm it. The desert teaches moderation. Down below, a few hardy plants lifted their heads. Tiny green shoots glimmered, absorbing each precious drop. Puffin squealed with joy. We did it. We really helped them. Nimbus's rumble was proud, but quiet. Yes, little one. Even here, in scarcity, we can make a difference. The mirages shimmered again in the heat, the illusions of lakes and palms stretching far into the distance. Puffin peered longingly at them, sighing. I wish they were real water, though. Strata reached across the horizon with her thin veil. Sometimes illusions teach more than reality. We learn to wait, to hope, to treasure what we have, not what we cannot reach. Sirah brushed against him like a soft hand. And sometimes, the desert shows us that even a cloud can give life, even in a place where it seems impossible. As evening came, the heat began to fade. The wind slowed, carrying cooler air that curled around the dunes. The sun sank, painting the horizon in oranges, reds, and purples, stretching the shadows of the desert into long, twisting shapes. Puffin floated quietly, round and content. I understand now. The desert isn't just empty. It's patient. And we're helpers. Nimbus rumbled low. Yes, Puff. The desert challenges us to give wisely, to understand the power of little things. Your rain may have been small, but it matters more here than any storm ever could in a forest or ocean. Sirah traced the last light with her cirrus fingers, painting golden threads across the sky. Even here, we can leave beauty behind. Even here, life listens to us. Strata spread herself thin over the dunes, casting soft shadow over a small group of foxes and lizards as night fell. Rest now, she whispered. The desert sleeps, and we will drift onward with it. Puffin yawned, curling into a soft ball. I never knew deserts could be so alive. Nimbus rumbled in agreement. Every land has its song, Puff. You just have to listen. And as the stars appeared above, glittering like tiny diamonds scattered over velvet, the cloud crew drifted quietly onward, learning the rhythm of patience, the value of small gifts, and the secret life hidden beneath the sun-baked sands. The desert had tested them, taught them, and welcomed them, quietly, slowly, and with infinite grace. Chapter 10. Above the Villages. The cloud crew drifted slowly over a patchwork of greens and browns that stretched farther than Puffin's eyes could reach. The desert had fallen behind, replaced by rolling farmland dotted with villages, orchards, and winding roads. Smoke curled gently from chimneys, and fields glistened with morning dew. Whoa, Puffin whispered, hovering close to Nimbus. Look at all the people. Are they watching us? Strata's edges spread wide, shading a group of workers planting seeds in a bright green field. Not exactly watching, she said softly. But we are part of their day. The sky touches everything, even when humans don't realize it. Sirah floated high above, tracing delicate cirrus lines across the sky. And we shape the light they see, the weather they feel, the water they drink. Every drop we carry matters, Puffin. Nimbus rumbled gently. Even storms, little one. Sometimes people need the rain as much as the land does. Their crops, their gardens, even the streams and wells depend on us. Puffin's round body wobbled nervously. What if I scare them? What if I pour too hard? Nimbus gave him a gentle nudge. Then you learn. Storms are lessons. Rain is a gift, but even a gift can surprise. The crew drifted higher, observing life below. Children ran across fields, chasing one another in circles, laughing in the cool morning air. Farmers bent over rows of corn and wheat, carefully planting seeds or watering sprouts. Chickens scratched the soil near red barns, and horses trotted across pastures, tails flicking in the breeze. It's busy, Puffin said in awe. So many tiny lives. Sirah's wisps swirled, glowing softly. All of them are connected. The clouds above, the water beneath, the seeds in the soil. Everything moves in a circle. Strata hummed quietly. And sometimes, our presence is more than water. Shade, mist, even a soft drizzle can help people, plants, and animals alike. Nimbus, now a darkening gray over a patchwork of fields, felt the familiar swell of moisture in his belly. "It's time," he said. "Let's give them a proper morning rain." Puffin's eyes widened as he began to release his first tiny drops over a tomato field. I'm raining for the humans." The droplets fell gently, pattering on leaves and soil. Children looked up, laughing as puddles formed, their shoes splashing in the soft mud. Farmers smiled, tilting their heads toward the clouds. Even the chickens seemed to pause, shaking their feathers as the rain soaked their backs. Nimbus followed, sending steady, warm showers that deepened the puddles. Strata spread herself over a wheat field, turning the rainfall into a soft, misty curtain that cooled the air without flooding the soil. Sira hovered high, her cirrus fingers refracting sunlight through the rain, painting rainbows across the villages. "Even humans can see the magic we leave behind," she whispered. Puffin spun joyfully in midair, releasing more droplets. "We're helping. Look, they're dancing in the rain." Indeed, below them, humans and animals alike moved with a new energy. Farmers paused to pull their hats down, children twirled with arms wide, and even the livestock seemed to lift their heads, drinking in the cool gift from above. Nimbus rumbled with pride. "See, Puffin, you don't need to be a storm to matter. You are enough." As the morning wore on, the sun climbed higher, drying the soil and warming the air. Puffy clouds drifted lazily in the blue, drifting together to create patterns that humans sometimes noticed and sometimes ignored. One field of sunflowers seemed to tilt their golden faces toward Puffin's tiny form, as if in thanks. Strata's soft veil cooled a schoolyard, giving children shade as they played in the mud. Sira painted delicate clouds in whimsical shapes, a rabbit, a boat, a castle. And the children pointed and laughed, imagining stories for each one. "You see," Sira said, glancing at Puffin, "even without rain, we bring joy. The sky itself is a gift." "Wow," Puffin whispered, still floating in awe. "I didn't know being a cloud could be so important." Nimbus, watching the humans below tend to their fields and homes, rumbled thoughtfully. "Sometimes people forget how much they rely on us. But we're always here, part of their day. We guide the water cycle, feed the rivers, fill the reservoirs, and nourish the land. They may not see all of it, but it's always happening." By afternoon, the crew had moved beyond the villages into orchards and vineyards. The trees were heavy with fruit, their leaves trembling under the gift of morning rain. Strata spread herself gently across a grapevine grove, cooling the soil and protecting the fruit from the harsh midday sun. Puffin's droplets fell softly onto apples and peaches, his round form wobbling with pride. I'm helping the fruit grow," he squeaked. Nimbus rumbled softly. "Yes, little one. And soon, those apples and peaches will feed humans, animals, and travelers. Every drop we give carries life." Sira hovered high, her wispy arms painting delicate shadows across the land. And shadows are part of the gift too. Shade can protect just as rain does. Light and dark, warmth and cool, they all balance the cycle. Strata hummed, almost like a song, as the air cooled and the clouds moved in harmony. Humans may never see all we do, but they feel it. They feel the water, the shade, the balance. That is enough. Evening came, and the crew drifted above a quiet village. Smoke curled lazily from chimneys as the sun set, painting the sky in pinks and purples. The streets were quiet now, Children tucked in, farmers resting, animals settled. Puffin floated close to Nimbus, exhausted but happy. "I like the humans," he whispered. "They're funny and busy and small, but they need us, don't they?" Nimbus rumbled, his voice gentle. "Yes, Puff. They need water, light, shade, and rain. But most of all, they need the sky itself. And we are the sky." Syrah swirled above, glowing with the last light of sunset. "And everywhere we go, we carry stories of rivers, forests, deserts, mountains, and humans alike. Every place remembers us, even if only in small ways." Strata settled low over the fields, her gray veil a quiet blanket. "Tomorrow, we will move on. But tonight, let's rest and watch over them. The sky always watches, even when they do not see." And so the cloud crew drifted above villages, farmlands, and orchards, feeling lighter, proud, and connected. The sun dipped below the horizon, the stars appeared, and the world below slept, unaware of the gentle guardians floating overhead. The clouds, however, knew the truth. They were more than just weather. They were life-bringers, comfort-givers, and storytellers of the sky. Chapter 11. The Mighty Ocean. The land faded behind them, leaving only endless stretches of deep blue. The sea shimmered under the morning sun, waves stretching like molten silk, curling and crashing in a slow, rhythmic dance. Puffin floated forward, his round body bouncing with excitement. "Whoa," he squealed. "It's bigger than anything. Bigger than deserts, bigger than mountains. I can't even see the end." Nimbus hovered over the crew, broad and protective, his belly rumbling softly with anticipation. "The ocean is alive," he said. "It breathes, it moves, and it feeds the world above and below. Every storm, every drop we carry, comes from here or will return here." Syrah drifted high, her wisps glimmering in the sunlight like silver threads. "It's like a mirror of the sky," she whispered, "reflecting everything we are." Strata spread herself low across the horizon, her veil thin but vast, like a soft gray blanket kissing the waves. And the air above the ocean rises, carrying the moisture we need. This is where we learn to grow, to swell, and sometimes to roar. Puffin bounced nervously. "Roar? You mean storm again?" Nimbus nodded. "Yes, little one. The ocean can make even the gentlest cloud gather strength. Sometimes it teaches us the power of patience and release." As the crew drifted over the rolling waves, the air became heavy with humidity. Warm currents rose from the sea, meeting cooler air above. Puffin's round form began to swell almost immediately. I'm filling up," he squeaked. "It tickles." "Yes," Strata said quietly. "That's evaporation. The ocean is giving itself to the sky, and we gather it. Every drop matters. Every breath of air carries life." Syrah twirled through the vapor, scattering light across the water. "And soon," she whispered, "we will bring it back to the world as rain, as nourishment, as song." Nimbus felt his own belly swell, darkening at the edges. "It's time," he murmured. "The ocean calls us to action." The crew began to gather, moving closer together as the wind strengthened. Clouds from distant skies joined them, towering cumulonimbus formations that stretched higher than the tallest mountains. The wind circled faster, pulling them into spirals, feeding the moisture into the heart of the sky. Puffin's voice trembled. "It's huge. There are so many. I'm scared." Syrah brushed against him lightly. "Do not fear, little one. This is life. This is the water cycle in motion. Every storm has its place. Strata hummed softly, spreading herself wide to cushion the younger clouds. Even the ocean knows balance. The storm will come, and then it will leave, leaving the world refreshed. Nimbus took a deep, trembling breath. His form grew massive, shadows spreading across the waves below. Then let us begin. Lightning flickered within his belly, thin bolts arcing like silver threads. Thunder rolled across the horizon, echoing from cloud to cloud, from sky to sea. Puffin's tiny droplets joined Nimbus's steady sheets of rain, pattering down onto the ocean. The water shimmered and swirled under the deluge. "It's beautiful," Puffin cried. "The ocean looks alive." Sierra wove light through the storm, painting streaks of gold and silver, turning each droplet into a sparkling jewel. "Even storms can be art," she said softly. "Even chaos can sing." Strata's calm voice cut through the roar. "The ocean drinks this rain, carries it in currents, spreads it across the world. We are the messengers of life." Below, the waves rose, crashing and curling into whitecaps. Dolphins leapt through the surf, their sleek bodies glistening in the rain. Schools of fish shimmered beneath the surface, startled by the sudden downpour, but thriving in the freshened water. Nimbus released a long, rolling rumble. "Do you feel it? The energy? The ocean responds to us. We are part of something much larger than ourselves." "Yes," Puffin squeaked, spinning and bouncing into light. "I'm part of it too. We're all helping the ocean." Sierra's tendrils of cirrus stretched wide, brushing across the towering storm. "And together, we are beautiful. Fierce, yes, but beautiful." Strata whispered, "Remember, little ones, storms are never only about rain or lightning. They are about connection, movement, life itself. Even fear can become part of the song." Hours passed, and the storm raged. Rain fell in torrents, lightning flashed, and thunder rolled like the ocean itself was speaking. Yet beneath the power, there was harmony. Every bolt, every droplet, every gust of wind worked in rhythm, shaping the world below. Puffin began to tire, his round body wobbling from excitement. I think I understand now. Storms aren't scary. They're necessary." Nimbus rumbled low, softly now, as the storm began to ease. "Yes, little one. They are part of the ocean's voice, the world's rhythm. And now, it's time to rest." Strata spread herself thin over the receding storm, turning the last sheets of rain into a gentle mist. Sierra painted the final sunlight through the clouds, creating a soft rainbow that arched across the ocean horizon. Below, the waves sparkled, refreshed and calm. Dolphins played once more. Seabirds returned to skim the surface, and the ocean exhaled in a soft sigh. Puffin floated close to Nimbus, exhausted but exhilarated. I think I love the ocean," he whispered. "It's scary, yes, but amazing." Nimbus smiled, a soft rumble that felt like warmth. "The ocean teaches us strength, patience, and beauty, and we are lucky to learn from it." Sierra twirled in the fading sunlight, sending the last ribbons of gold through the cloud mist. Every storm leaves a gift. Every drop we release carries life across the world. Even small clouds matter. Strata settled low, her veil brushing the waves below. "Rest now. Tomorrow we will drift further. But tonight we have given, and the ocean is grateful." The crew floated together, tired but full of pride, drifting above the calm sea under a sky strewn with stars. The storm had passed, but its lessons, strength, connection, and the rhythm of life, would stay with them forever. And as the waves whispered below, the clouds dreamed of all the lands, rivers, forests, deserts, and villages they had touched, knowing they were part of the great, eternal cycle. Chapter 12. The Land of Ice and Lights. The air grew sharper as the cloud crew drifted northward, leaving the warm ocean behind. Below, the world turned silver and white, vast stretches of ice and snow glittering under a low sun that barely touched the horizon. Mountains rose like frozen sculptures, and glaciers crept slowly through the valleys. Puffin shivered, his tiny round body wobbling nervously. "It's cold, so cold. How do anything live here?" Nimbus rumbled softly, a warm undertone against the biting air. "Few things do, Puff. But those that do, they endure, they thrive. The polar regions teach patience, persistence, and the quiet power of stillness." Syrah floated high, her wispy cirrus tendrils sparkling with frost. "And they teach wonder. Look at the ice, Puffin. See how it glows, even in shadow? The polar world is art carved by the wind and sun." Strata spread herself low, laying a thin gray veil across the frozen plains. "And see the snow? Every flake is a miracle of geometry, a tiny gift. Even in harsh places, the sky provides." Puffin peeked over the edge of a glacier, wobbling with awe. "It's like the world is frozen in time." Nimbus nodded. "Yes, but even ice moves, slowly. Glaciers creep, snow drifts shift, and the polar winds carry moisture across continents. Patience, Puffin. Even stillness is a kind of motion." The crew drifted over a colony of penguins huddled on the ice. The small black and white birds shuffled and tumbled, their beaks pecking at the snow as they cared for their young. Puffin's eyes widened. "They're so tiny. And they survive here?" Strata hummed softly. "They've learned the rhythm of this land. They know the cold, the snow, the wind. And they know how to stay together. Just like clouds, they rely on each other." Syrah floated down lightly, her cirrus arms trailing over the ice. "And look at the patterns of frost on the glaciers. See the cracks and crevices. Water moves even when frozen, shaping the land like a sculptor." Nimbus rumbled thoughtfully. "Even in cold, life and motion persist. And we carry water, warmth, and weather. Even small clouds like Puffin can help." Puffin puffed up proudly, releasing a few tiny droplets that instantly froze into sparkling frost as they fell. "I'm helping. Even here." Syrah giggled softly, brushing against him like a ribbon of warmth. "Yes, Puffin. Every drop matters, even if it freezes the moment it touches the ground." As the sun sank low, the sky above the polar horizon began to change. Colors erupted across the heavens, green, pink, violet, and blue, danced in ethereal ribbons, swirling like ribbons of silk. Puffin's round body wobbled in awe. "The sky, it's alive. It's moving. It's singing." Nimbus rumbled in agreement. "This is the aurora. The sky itself moves with the sun's energy, the magnetism of the earth, and the whispers of the wind. It's beauty born of science and wonder." Syrah spun gently, trailing silver wisps that mirrored the aurora's curves. "We can ride its light, Puffin. Let it guide us. Even here, at the edge of the world, the sky is alive." Strata floated low, her veil covering small ice formations and drifting snow dunes. The aurora reminds us that even in harsh places, beauty exists. Even where life is fragile, wonder is abundant. Puffin's eyes sparkled as he twirled among the lights. "I've never seen anything like this. It's magical." Nimbus rumbled low, proud and warm despite the icy winds. Even the strongest cold can't stop life, or beauty, or movement. And even the smallest clouds can touch the world. Hours passed as the auroras danced above them. The cloud crew glided slowly over frozen lakes and snow-carved valleys, sending tiny snow showers that twinkled like diamonds as they fell. Puffin released delicate frozen droplets over a colony of seals who lifted their heads in curiosity before flopping back onto the ice. "The snow isn't just cold," Strata murmured. "It nourishes the land slowly. Water locked in ice will return in streams, rivers, and rain. Patience, Puffin. Everything comes in its own time." Syrah traced the northern lights with graceful wisps, painting silver arcs across the sky. "Even now, our clouds are part of the magic. We ride the aurora, carry ice crystals, and bring life to frozen lands." Puffin spun in delight. "I think I understand. Even when it's cold, even when it looks empty, we can make a difference. We can help." Nimbus nodded, his massive form shimmering faintly with frost. "Yes, and every place we visit, deserts, forests, oceans, mountains, and polar ice, we leave part of ourselves behind. Even storms, even frost, even mist. It all matters." As night deepened, the auroras faded into soft ribbons of green and violet. The stars sparkled with extra brilliance, reflecting in ice and frozen lakes below. Puffin curled into a small round ball, exhausted but content. Syrah drifted nearby, her wisps glowing faintly in the polar darkness. "The world is quiet here, Puffin. But even in quiet, there is motion. Life continues, slow but steady, beneath the snow and ice." Strata hummed softly, a lullaby for the frozen lands. "And the clouds watch always. We are the guardians of weather, of water, of balance. Even in places humans seldom see, we care for the world." Nimbus rumbled one last time for the night, a deep, soothing sound that seemed to resonate with the ice itself. "Rest, little ones. Tomorrow, we will drift toward warmer lands again. But tonight, remember the patience of the ice, the beauty of the auroras, and the quiet power of stillness." Puffin whispered sleepily. I think I love the polar lights. I'll never forget them." Syrah floated overhead, painting silver tendrils of cloud across the starlit sky. "And we'll carry them with us, Puffin. Every sight, every lesson, every drop of water. It travels with us, as part of our journey." Strata's veil stretched wide, covering glaciers, frozen dunes, and ice-carved valleys. And now we sleep, knowing the world below is nourished, protected, and watched over by the sky. The cloud crew drifted together under the stars, dreaming of frozen lands, auroras, and endless cycles of weather. Ice, snow, and wind had taught them lessons of patience, resilience, and wonder. Lessons they would carry forever as they prepared to drift southward once more. And above the polar world, the clouds shimmered faintly, guardians of the sky, keepers of the water, and gentle watchers of the endless cycle of life. Chapter 13. The Journey Home. The sky stretched wide and welcoming as the cloud crew drifted southward, leaving the polar ice behind. The journey had been long and full of wonders: mountains, deserts, oceans, villages, and frozen lands. But now, as the sun rose over a gentle, green horizon, the clouds felt the familiar pull of home. Puffin bounced lightly, his round form tingling with excitement. We've been everywhere. Mountains, deserts, oceans, and even the frozen north. I can't believe we did all of that. Nimbus rumbled gently, casting a soft shadow over the rolling hills below. Yes, little one. We've carried water, life, and warmth across the world. We've learned patience, courage, and joy, and the world is better for it. Sira twirled above them, delicate cirrus fingers tracing sunlight through the air. Every place we visited left its mark on us. And we left marks too. Even the smallest cloud can touch a river, a tree, or a person below. Strata drifted quietly beside them, her soft veil spreading over a patchwork of fields and forests. And now, as we return, we carry all those lessons with us. Every drop, every storm, every whisper of wind. It has shaped us. Puffin's eyes sparkled. Do you think we'll ever stop traveling? Nimbus rumbled thoughtfully. Clouds never truly stop. We may rest, we may drift slowly, but the sky calls us onward. There is always another horizon, another place to visit, another storm to bring, another story to tell. Sira's voice floated like music. And even if we pause, we are never idle. Every cloud carries rain, shade, and light wherever it goes. We are part of the sky's song. As they drifted over a familiar forest, Puffin's excitement bubbled over. Look, we were here in Chapter 2. The trees are so tall, and the rivers, they still sparkle from our rain. Strata hummed softly. Yes, nature remembers the gifts we leave behind, even if humans do not. Rivers flow, trees grow, and seeds sprout, all nourished by clouds like us. Nimbus rumbled proudly. Every storm, every drizzle, every shadow we gave mattered. Even deserts bloomed, even mountains drank, even polar ice glimmered under our care. Sira floated above, scattering golden strands of sunlight through the trees. And everywhere we go, we add beauty. Clouds are not just weather, they are art, guardians, friends of the earth. Puffin twirled in delight. I never thought I'd do so much. I was so small. And now, look at all we've done. Nimbus rumbled low and gentle, like a lullaby. Little one, you were always part of the work. Every droplet you released mattered. Even the tiniest cloud can shape the world. They passed over a village where children laughed in puddles, a desert where flowers glimmered after their rain, an ocean alive with sparkling dolphins, and icy lands glowing faintly under fading auroras. Everywhere they looked, the world carried reminders of their journey. Strata's veil spread across fields and rivers. Look how the earth remembers us. Every bloom, every puddle, every river is part of the memory of clouds. Sira brushed her wisps through the air, painting delicate clouds that mirrored their past adventures. Mountain peaks, desert dunes, stormy seas, and frozen landscapes. We carry our history in the shapes we leave behind. Puffin floated higher, eyes wide. I can see it all. It's like the sky is a storybook. Nimbus smiled, shadows shifting gently with his rumble. It is a storybook, Puffin, and we are both the authors and the characters. As the sun began to set, the cloud crew approached a familiar place, the first meadow where they had gathered together at the start of their journey. Golden grass swayed gently in the evening breeze, the rivers glinting like ribbons of silver, and the sky above glowed with the last light of day. Puffin's round body quivered with emotion. We came full circle, back to where we started. Sira's wisps shimmered, brushing across the horizon. And yet, we are not the same. Every cloud has grown, learned, and changed. The journey made us stronger, wiser, and more connected. Strata's calm voice floated softly. We carry the lessons of mountains, deserts, oceans, villages, and ice. And we will carry them forever, as part of the cycle of weather. Nimbus rumbled, dark edges softening. Every journey has a return. Every storm passes. And every cloud, no matter how small, leaves a mark. Puffin blinked, round eyes wide and glistening. I think I understand now. We're not just clouds. We're helpers, guardians, friends to the earth. Sira twirled gently, casting golden trails across the sky. And we are never alone. The sky, the earth, the water, the wind, they are all part of us, and we are part of them. Strata spread herself wide, covering the meadow in soft, gray comfort. Rest now. We have given, we have learned, and we have loved. The cycle continues, and we will always be part of it. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in purples, oranges, and pinks. Stars began to twinkle above, and the first hints of night drifted over the land. The cloud crew floated together, tired but joyful, basking in the warmth of the day's end. Puffin yawned, curling into his round, soft form. I think I'll dream of everything we've seen. Mountains, deserts, oceans, and all the little lives we helped. Nimbus rumbled softly, a gentle warmth in the cold evening air. Dream well, little one. We will continue our journey tomorrow, and every day after, carrying the sky with us wherever we go. Sira drifted high above, her thin arms glowing faintly in the starlight. And every story, every adventure, every drop of rain we've given will live on in the world below and in the sky above. Strata hummed softly, a lullaby to the earth and sky. Rest now, friends. The clouds are eternal, the cycle continues, and our journey is never truly over. And so the cloud crew drifted together above the golden meadow, surrounded by the lands they had touched, the waters they had nourished, and the skies they had brightened. Mountains, deserts, oceans, villages, and polar ice had shaped them, and they had shaped the world in return. For they were more than clouds. They were life-bearers, joy-bringers, guardians of the sky, and friends forever. The stars above twinkled gently, the night whispered softly, and the world below slept peacefully, cradled in the care of the clouds. The journey had ended, but the story of the sky and of the cloud crew would continue forever.
Thank you for joining us on this journey. Until next time, stay safe